nobody has any insight on this. Everybody's just guessing. This is all just a guessing game. And what a lot of people perceive and is the I guess the national narrative is that this is an egregious tank, and what would it benefit the Cardinals or Kyler Murray for him to go out on the playing field? But I think that means so much as far as to what this organization, how they're going to evaluate Kyler and what they want to do with him in the future. And then Kyler wanting to get out there and create a robust trade market for himself so he has options.
I also think, I mean, do we have to completely discredit everything that Kyler and this new operation have done this offseason together? The Heisman Trophy unveiling, Kyler's been at every piece of OTAs, training camp, mini camp, side by side with this coaching staff. I mean, like, I guess you could be cutthroat and just say, yeah, Kyler, we're going to take care of you, and then subsequently, like, sit him all season. I don't believe that's what's happening. I've heard that that's not what's happening with this regime. Like, it feels like if they were going to take that route, they would tell Kyler Murray, you go and do your own thing, get healthy, get right, be able to pass a physical. We're going to trade you next offseason. They have told us time and time again, multiple times, and I know everybody on this podcast, if you listen, we're always like, well, just judge them by their actions, not their words. They are so adamant that he's going to play this year when he's ready to play. Kyler Murray's goal was to come back week 1. That's unfortunately not going to happen. I think, again, the revised timeline is somewhere around 5, 6, 7. But again, it's a 17-week season. That's a long time. Kyler Murray's going to get, I believe, double-digit games this year to play the Cardinals out of Caleb Williams' contention, and I think they would welcome that. I think Monty Ossenford, who was asked about Caleb Williams a couple of weeks ago and just kind of laughed it off, guys, I'm trying to get through this season right now. We know definitively, Bo Brock, that Jonathan Gannon said, F tanking. We're not tanking. I'm not doing that. And he said that behind closed doors. He's not saying that at a press conference. So it just, to me, it doesn't add up. If they get the number 1 pick, do I think they take Caleb Williams? Of course. Do I think they're going to get it through a 4th place schedule and the abysmal NFC? I do not. I think they're going to win too many games to be in a position to take Caleb Williams.
Well, I mean, he also said, like, at a press conference, the word rebuild. He was asked about a rebuild, and that word makes him cringe. And that's Gannon, and that's his job. His job is to win games, where Monty's job is the roster and the future of this organization. I mean, just think about how far off people were about that Seahawks team last year, and this show included, right? We were like,
yes, we made fun of them.
This is a team that's going to be in the top 5, and it's not going to be via Broncos pick like it was this actual draft.
Yeah.
That it was going to be a team that was going to be in the top 5. They were going to bottom out. They were rebuilding, but they brought in younger, more, I guess, physical, athletic, faster players that just bought into the scheme of Pete Carroll and what his coaching staff were trying to do there.
Yeah.
But nationally, you couldn't have convinced anybody that the Seahawks were going to be a team that was not doing anything but tanking for the next draft class. And that proved to be wrong. But people, they won't pay attention to that. They just see this, and they don't kind of see the forest through the trees on this, or see the forest through the trees as far as what Monty Ossenford is trying to accomplish and all the mess that he has to clean up from the previous regime.
I think the biggest thing with Kyler Murray is, the finances that are associated with him in 2024. They have to make a decision on guaranteed money. I know definitively, Gannon took this job in part because I know I'm going to have a franchise quarterback if and when he's healthy in K1. And again, you pick first in the draft, like everything's on the table for every franchise. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, if they have the first pick, I don't think they should trade it. I think they should take Caleb Williams. I've been on the record of saying that. But I also think that if they have a top 5 pick, if they have a top 7 pick, you can rebuild this roster quickly, as we've seen in past years around Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, I mean, we saw Ryan Tannehill have his second act with Ossenford in Tennessee, number 1 seed in the AFC, winning the AFC South, very viable, and Kyler Murray's a hell of a lot more talented than Ryan Tannehill. I mean, you could go get a Joe Alt and a Marvin Harrison Jr. to go along with what you've already done in this draft and go sign a bunch of players. I saw Jalen earlier in the chat saying, why are we worried about Kyler's money? We've got $80 million to spend. Absolutely. And that's not counting the up-team moves that you can make with James Conner and Zach Ertz. You could shed a lot of cap really quick. Now, I do think Kyler Murray at the end of the day is going to play this year and play well. For me, he's too talented. I think they're going to set him up for success too. Watch what they do with Joshua Dobbs week 1 against the Commanders and the script and the offense they put together. Boots and rollouts and easy completions. This is a part of the Kyle Shanahan-esque coaching offense coming from Cleveland, coming originally from San Francisco, Mike Shanahan. Kyler Murray, yeah, he's never played in this before. That doesn't mean it's not going to benefit him. You think the guy who's drafted first overall in the NFL and top 10 in baseball can't pick up Kyle Shanahan's offense? Of course he can.
Right.
Again, I think it's a detriment to people who say, well, you ran this gimmicky offense under Cliff Kingsbury. We were complaining about it because it didn't work. It didn't play, I don't think, to Kyler Murray's strengths, being able to drive the ball downfield. Everything was horizontal. Kyler Murray's got a top 5 to 7 arm in the NFL. So at the end of the day, Bo, it's going to be a talking point until the Cardinals play themselves out of Caleb Williams.
Right. And this organization is going to be able to pivot any direction they want to go.
Yep.
Do they want to rebuild around a guy who's going to be taking up close to $50 million of the salary cap? They have the ability to do that. Even with that number, they're going to have easy $80 million in cap space to work with next year. If they want to pivot off Kyler Murray and take on the $46.1 million in dead cap space, they can do that and go to a Caleb Williams. It also is going to be contingent on finding a trade partner, which I don't buy into what Brewer was saying on
Carson
DP
Wentz
today.
has been traded multiple times.
But I mean, Carson Wentz might be the reason why teams shy away because of how many head coaches he left in his wake. Like maybe people are wising up to, hey, can we take on this quarterback contract? That's the only thing I'll say. But I don't think it's completely like there's no chance of doing it. And if you just look at the tape, you'll realize that Kyler Murray was a far more talented quarterback, especially throwing the football than Carson Wentz.
Good question in the chat. How would you guys respond to people saying that Caleb Williams would not want to come here to Arizona? Well, our GM Saul Bookman had a chance to sit down with Caleb at the Pac-12 Media Day, the final one, which is sad, and asked Caleb Williams how he would feel about playing in Arizona, to which he said that would be cool. And he had a smirk on his face. Now, there's a lot of time between now and next spring, but again, by all accounts, he likes being on the West Coast, right? This is a destination city. I mean, you don't have to guess on that. It's a booming top 5 economy in the United States right now. I think that people associate the Cardinals with losing, fair or not, and people like Mike Florio and company want to say, well, this is going to be, Eli Manning 2.0. Roger Goodell's NFL today is in a better place than when those kind of things happen. Trevor Lawrence went to Jacksonville. Of course, Joe Burrow, being an Ohio native, went to Cincinnati. Like, if the Cardinals have the first pick and they want Caleb Williams, there's a very minuscule chance that he's going to be able to force the issue. Like, Michael Bidwell, fair or not, is close with Roger Goodell, right? They're cleaning up their shit from their NFLPA grades. But do you think Roger Goodell is going to tell Michael Bidwell, who hosts Super Bowls, right? Mm-hmm. Does a damn good job doing that. The franchise isn't in good shape right now, or it wasn't, but they host Super Bowls. They put on a good performance for Goodell and company. You think Goodell's going to come to him and say, hey, we're actually not going to send this kid out to you. You got to go and take Joe Blow from, Bumblefuck State or whatever. No.
Right.
Like they'll make it work, right? And so I that's a question for another day. It's a very good question that people have to ask. I get that, but I mean, people are asking the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. Would Trevor Lawrence go to the Jets? Would he go to the Jaguars? Right. He would have gone wherever. If you're a true franchise quarterback and you can change the stars for that organization, you go to the team that picks you, because guess what? The team that has the first overall pick, they're not very good for a reason.
Caleb Williams is not going to delay the clock on him getting a $300 million contract extension for a $3.2 million valuation as far as NIL. That's not going to play a part. And he's not going to come and say that, one organization, like he's not going to come immediately into the league and force his way out. It's just, that happened 20 years ago, basically, with Eli Manning and the Mannings. And it happened, 20 years before that with John Elway. It just very rarely happens. And to set and kind of make your case based on that, it's ridiculous. Caleb Williams would be, if he's the competitor that people believe he is, he's not going to shy away because the organization has had some dysfunction in the last couple.
NIL deal argument it's the dumbest
worst
fucking argument. And again, like, I'm happy for college players that they have that. This is the NFL. This is big boy money. This is generational wealth, right? I mean, like, he plays in, California with the taxes being egregious and the cost of living is crazy there. Like, come be the number 1 pick here at some point and you'll be taken care of. There are other bad franchises in the NFL. Like, you think somebody
we talked about that Browns organization,
right?
That won in 31. And you're this Cardinals team that
they went to the playoffs 2 years ago.
Right. It's and you got Monty Ossenfort, who's riding this ship, But nobody's paying attention to that. Nobody's paying attention to that. Everybody's got such recency biases against this team and what it did in 2022. And they're not paying attention that Monty Ossenfort is trying to just rid itself of all that dysfunction that was left by the previous regime.